Now, you guys have probably, in fact, we've watched one of these videos here on this channel. Asmongold has watched a couple of this guy's videos. Andypants Gaming put out a video yesterday evening. The video is titled, Redditors Are Melting Down Over Space Marine's Massive Success. I figure it's a good time to watch this video because we beat the game yesterday. So now I actually have a reasonable opinion on how the game is. Is the game good? Is the game bad? I really liked it. I thought this was a great game. It's brutal. In fact, this game feels like... I'm going to pause alerts here while we watch this. This game feels like... It reminded me of playing Gears of War in like 2007 or 2008. It's like a Friday night with the boys from middle school or high school. We're having a sleepover. We linked up all of our Xboxes, and it's 2 in the morning. We're playing Gears of War. It gave me those feelings, you know. But actually, this game is even better than that. This game was better than Gears of War was in 2007 or 2008. I think it is. This game really, really was awesome. Is it a perfect game? No. In fact, I'm kind of disappointed the campaign is only like 8 hours. If this game had a 30-hour campaign or a 40-hour campaign, okay, now we're cooking. So the campaign did feel really, really short, but everything I did in this game, I really, really enjoyed. This game was really good. Now, why are Redditors melting down over Space Marine's massive success? What is the problem here?
Well, guys, Space Marine 2 is an incredibly based game and a huge success.
Whoa. Why are we zooming? Normal speed. Okay, let's go.
Well, guys, Space Marine 2 is an incredibly based game and a huge success, and was able to reach the highest concurrent player count for any 40K title ever. The Alpha Chad himself, Henry...
To be fair, I don't really feel like there have been many good video games set in the 40K universe. This like, at a minimum, this game by far blows all of them out of the water.
Cavill is playing the game and talking about how good it is while using a Warhammer lore book as his mousepad. He also apparently told Amazon to get bent when they asked him if he would make a woke Warhammer show.
I wonder what the woke Warhammer show entailed. I wonder what that would look like. Actually, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what that would look like.
Get mad. But it keeps getting better. It turns out the CEO who made the game is something of a Chad himself, and he said Space Marine 2 is meant to be a throwback game to a golden era when games weren't imposing their morals on gamers.
That's exactly what it was. Also, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 is a good example of, like, no one cares if there is a black guy in the game. No one cares if there is a woman in the game. Nobody cares if there is an Asian guy in the game. Just don't make the game about them being black. Don't make the game about them being a woman. Don't make the game about the guy being white even. Don't make the game about they're just like there and they're cool and they're doing stuff and they happen to be black or whatever and it doesn't matter, right? And that's exactly how Warhammer was. It was a great reminder of how that's supposed to be, but that's not really how gaming is these days.
And this little comment right here absolutely sent the gay liberal cucks of Reddit into a tizzy.
Okay.
They got so mad they're not sure which gender they are anymore. We're the ones who are supposed to tell people what their morality should be, they all cried into the air as they shook their tiny fists. Rock, Paper, Cuck Gun said, Saber won't say whether their CEO wrote this highly baity comment about games imposing morals on gamers. These people are such degenerates that saying games shouldn't impose their morals on people is somehow considered a controversial comment now. Speaking of men whose wives drive...
Yeah, I don't think that video game developers ought to be, you know, sort of injecting their moral beliefs into society. And so what this CEO of the you know, game dev studio that made Warhammer 40K said is that, you know what, this game is meant to be a throwback to when games were just meant to be fun. They're not a political statement. They're not a moral statement. Just log in, have fun, kill shit, kill aliens, and that's all we want to deliver to the consumer. You know what? Okay, good.
Drive them to work in a Prius. Y'all might have noticed that a bunch of gay Redditors are lurking in my comment section recently and calling me...
And this is what all of them look like. This is an image of them, okay?
A grifter and a shill. These are, of course, lies, and I exposed them in a video linked in the description below if you care. But guys, are y'all surprised? I dunk on these dudes constantly, so of course they're going to come after me one day. Anyway, enough female drama. Let's talk about Warhammer. So imagine it's 2007 and mom just picked you and the boys up from school on a Friday. On the way home, you pick up Code Red and pizza rolls.
We would always get a Costco pizza. If it was a Friday night or a Saturday night and we're having a sleepover, we're playing games all night, you gotta have the Costco pizza. You gotta have it.
More stop. Blockbuster Video. Halo 3 and Modern Warfare have been rented already, but you decide to try a new game. Space Marine 2. You and the boys hang out until the wee hours of Saturday morning, playing co-op while a Linkin Park CD plays on loop. Guys, this is the only way I know how to explain this game. Yes, it came out in 2024, but it really was made in 2007, if you catch my drift. Despite being made by a relatively small publisher, Saber Interactive, the game has received resounding praise from critics. People are saying things like, Space Marine 2 is a reminder of what we've lost. And the game is so masculine, it makes me feel like I've been living in a desert the past few years. Several main characters in the game are white dudes. This would be considered a hate crime by Kotaku and...
Pretty much that is the way it is these days. You are not allowed to have a cool, handsome, attractive, masculine-based white guy in your video game. That is not allowed. Well, Warhammer 40K did it. Okay, cool.
IGN. Space Marine 2 just hits differently. Duty, honor, and purpose are what the main character Titus cares about. He would rather die than fail his men or the Emperor. You're going to drown in blood, violence, and alien guts. Scientists say your balls get bigger from playing this game. You can play the game single player or co-op, and best of all, the game doesn't have a single microtransaction or queer flag in it. I'll talk more about the actual game later, but let's talk.
Is that true? I thought you could buy like coins that then you can spend on transmogs or cosmetics. I thought you could do that. I don't know. No.
A bit more about Saber Interactive. This is the team that made the game.
Look at these guys. These guys just look like a bunch of nerds. They don't look like a bunch of political activists. You can tell these guys are just nerds. And you know what nerds do? Nerds, they make good games. Can you imagine that?
Like, don't you want to get a beer with these dudes? Nobody is a fairy. Nobody's a dude wearing a dress. Just normal guys. And the masses have spoken. You can keep your DEI trash. We want masculinity back. So I want to get into the specifics of the game a bit more in a minute, but we need to talk about the badass CEO, Matthew Karch, who positioned the game as being designed specifically for gigachads like us. He said this, "When we signed the deal to make Space Marine 2, all I wanted was a throwback game. We had the chance to work on something which by its nature was, quote, old school." Just going to stop here for a second. Has this dude been watching the Andypants Gaming channel?
Now, here is what is going to happen. I am almost 31 years old. I have been around long enough to see this happen multiple times. This game has proven to be a success. A lot of people really like this game. It's been very popular on Steam. The user reviews, actually, can I pull it up? I want to see store Space Marine 2. Okay, user reviews, very positive. We have 68,000 user reviews. Very positive is what it is. Okay, so this game has been successful. A lot of people like it. If they make a second one, if they make Space Marine 3, or if they make DLC for this game, you know what's going to happen? Maybe I'm a little bit black-pilled. You're going to be able to be Space Marine Lizzo. You're going to be Lizzo running around in a Space Marine suit. And the story arc this time is going to be that aliens actually are misunderstood, and we've been killing them for inappropriate reasons, and that really we need to become friends with them, and that heretics are actually the good guys the entire time. And it's going to be a complete inversion. It's going to be a complete subversion, and that's the way this stuff goes. That's the way it goes.
I mean, y'all know this is all I talk about. All I talk about is masculinity, throwback games, 2007 games, etc. He continues on. We worked on Halo back in the day, and that game could be distilled down to the simplest of shooting loops, but it was entirely addicting. This is what we wanted to recapture. I hope that games like Space Marine 2 and Wukong are the start of a reversion to a time when games were simply about fun and immersion. Guys, this is controversial somehow. All he said was that games should be fun, and leftist cucks are freaking out. Like, huh? The quote continues on. I spent some time as chief operating officer at Embracer, and I saw games there that made me want to cry with their overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. We just want to do some glory.
Well, like it seems very obvious that you have had really almost an entire generation of game developers that have gotten into the game development industry not because they care about video games, not because they love games, but because they view games as a platform with which to spread their social agenda or their sense of morality. So they are only concerned with video games because they view video games as a canvas with which to push their agenda or personal beliefs. And that seems to be the case. Like, really, it does.
Kills and get the heart rate up a little. For me, that is what games should be about. Dude, I'm sorry, but how could you possibly disagree with this guy? All he's saying is he wants to bring back fun and immersion and thinks political messages and imposing morality doesn't belong in a game. Well, like I said earlier, this absolutely triggered the men who dress in women's clothes. They got so frazzled they couldn't find their tampons anymore. Kat Bailey, who was possibly a dude at some point at IGN, said this.
I just want to say real quick, anything in this video that could get me banned, I disavow it. Okay? Just real quick, blanket disavow. If there's any Twitch staff watching, anything that could get me in trouble, I don't even know what, I disavow that. Okay, let's go.
Warhammer 40k Space Marine Q dev won't say whether imposing morals on gamers' YouTube comment is from its CEO. The comment on YouTube is from a Matthew Karch account, and he has intimate knowledge of how the game was made. So it's very...
Oh, okay. So he posted this little write-up, like maybe semi-anonymously, and now people are mad at him.
very likely this is him. Saber Interactive declined to confirm
him.
The comment was from their CEO, but Matthew on his LinkedIn said this, whoever wrote that seems pretty sharp.
Okay, there you go.
Like, hats off to this man. Broken leftists love to somehow catch you in a trap, and the dude was basically like, nah, you're gay, F off. A different writer who uses tampons at PC Gamer wrote an article with this headline, Space Marine 2 Studio hopes for a reversion to a time before games were imposing morals on players. At the bottom of the article, he says this while fighting back tears. In 2021, Warhammer 40k Company Games Workshop released a statement explaining that the Imperium of Man stands as a cautionary tale of what could happen should the very worst...
Dude, the Imperium of Man is so based. God, please let humanity evolve into becoming an Imperium of Man. Please let that be the trajectory. Yes, awesome. Wait, lust for power and extreme unyielding xenophobia? Oh, never mind. I condemn that. Never mind. I disavow that. I disavow. I condemn. Never mind. I'm going to walk all of that back. Sorry.
Of humanity's lust for power and extreme unyielding xenophobia set in.
Nope.
And explicitly condemning the presence of hate symbols and groups in the Warhammer 40k community.
Yeah, I disavow that. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, true. That's all true, Andy. Good point.
Like, this is all these broken degenerates have at this point. If you want a badass game with a masculine character, you're obviously a Nazi. Or if you don't want DEI and ESG scores pushed by BlackRock, you're obviously a white supremacist. It's like these guys are gobbling down the corporate fascist message, and yet we're Nazis for not gobbling it down with them? Like, huh? I hope this makes homo leftists take a deep look within themselves.
Disavow. Hey, disavow. Hey, disavow.
And ask, why do I need to keep lying about what other people are saying in order to validate myself? Guys, so moving on, I think it's possible that Saber Interactive could be the next truly Giga Chad company. It could become a bastion of free speech and the...
I hope they continue making really good, really good games with gameplay first. The most important thing being the gameplay. I really hope that they do continue to make good games, but I am so black-pilled on video games, guys. I am so demoralized.
The edgy throwback games we've always wanted. Think about it. Activision is cooked and gay. Microsoft is cooked and gay. Sony is cooked and gay. Once you hire...
Disavow, disavow, disavow. Hey, disavow. Triple kill, disavow.
A troon, it's very, very hard to get
Disavow.
them out of the company.
I disavow
so
that.
of course these gay devs are going to keep their job at these companies and keep wondering why their games are failing. Saber Interactive seems to have a lot of based, normal people in place, and they're only going to capitalize on the success of this subject matter in games in the future. Saber has a game coming up called John Carpenter's Toxic Commando coming out that looks really cool, and they're also doing this Jurassic Park survival game that could be very good as well. If you look at shots of people who work at Saber, it's just like
random shot of some of their devs. They seem like normal folks. Yeah, I mean, they seem pretty normal, I guess.
like normal dudes and normal women. So I'm really excited for what Saber Interactive does next. And eventually, in a few years, they could be giving EA and Activision a run for their money with big AAA titles. All right, so finally, I wanted to talk a bit about the game itself. And guys, my apologies here if I butcher the lore, but I'll do my best to describe.
I mean, okay, if Saber Interactive wants AAA money, then in order to get the AAA money, they are going to have to push the AAA agenda. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Describe what I liked about the game. So Space Marine 2 doesn't have the most groundbreaking story ever, but it's a really solid tale of honor, devotion, and duty that a soldier feels towards his people. Titus goes from being accused of heresy and placed on the Death Watch to being reinstated as an esteemed soldier fighting for the Imperium of Man.
That's right.
There's definitely parallels here to the Crusades, and parts of the game feel very Catholic, even though I'm not Catholic myself. The big bad...
Well, I mean, yeah, like obviously, I mean, this is not just specifically the game. This is more so the entire Warhammer 40K universe in its entirety. But they have like, if you've played through the game, there are quite literally cathedrals, right? The game is very Catholic coded, right? You've got like the little like cyborg cherub angel naked babies flying around. You've got the chaplain who's blessing the Space Marines. Yeah, this game is super Catholic coded, obviously.
Add in the game,
the God Emperor, he's God,
is the quote chaos. Chaos Marines are Marines that have given over to their sinful fleshly desires and are basically evil now. Taken over by something similar to like the 7 deadly sins. I was looking, chaos bosses are called things like pestilence, hate, things like that. They refer to the chaos guys as heretics and degenerates, and I think there's definitely a parallel here that might be made to people who are atheists and people who just don't believe in anything at all. So I think there's definitely an argument to be made that the good guys in this game are religious and the bad guys are not religious, and that's...
Well, I mean, you don't need to make some weird argument. Quite literally, the good guys are loyal servants of the God Emperor, and the bad guys are guys that are heretics that have left the worship or service of the God Emperor, right? That's not a secret. Like that, it literally is what it is.
Probably a huge thing that's triggering all these people because, as we know, troons and men who dress in women's clothes don't actually believe in morality. They don't really have morality.
Disavow.
That's all I'm going to say about the story because I don't want to ruin it. But there's a lot of double crossing. There's a lot of surprises. And it's actually a really good story. The campaign is maybe 10 hours long. Now, if you thought the gameplay in this game was going to be as simple as Gears of War, you would be wrong. Space Marine 2 elevates itself from older games by adding really satisfying combat, melee weapons, and an awesome class system. The game also has PvP, PvE modes, and of course the campaign as well. The melee system in this game is kind of like a light Dark Souls system, maybe similar to Jedi Fallen Order. Big red and blue lights let you know when to time your parry. Execution kills leave you drowning in blood and are absolutely badass.
Reflecting on this game, so like I said, I finished the campaign yesterday. Reflecting on my playthrough, I'm thinking like, okay, what really stood out in my mind and made an impact that I'm still thinking about after having beaten the campaign? The boss executions. Like, after you've beaten a boss, you get to walk up to it and, like, rip its fucking throat out and then stab it in the... That is the highlight of the game. Killing a boss and then watching your character execute it is awesome. It's so cool.
You'll have knives, swords, chainsaws, and hammers. The guns are very fun, satisfying, and I gotta be honest, despite this game technically, I think, being a AA game, it feels very, very AAA to me. The game has 6 different classes you can choose from to match your playstyle. They are Tactical, which is more of a generalist, Assault, which means you're running right into the enemy's throat and smashing them with melee weapons and ground smashes, Vanguard, which means you've got a grappling hook to pull enemies close, or rather you're going towards them, Bulwark, in which you are a tank with a huge shield and you draw enemies to yourself. Sniper, obviously engaging from far away. And Heavy. Heavy doesn't have a melee weapon but moves slow and has a huge chain gun that does loads of damage. Space Marine 2 is almost certainly going to get snubbed at Homo Jeff Keighley's Game of the Year awards this year.
Disavow.
Because this game is quote-unquote controversial now. Because apparently pausing momentarily to not chug the satanic corporate propaganda of Microsoft and Sony and Activision is somehow controversial.
I mean, it is funny when you think about it. Like, there is literally nothing controversial about the game other than the fact that it doesn't inject some sort of social justice cause in front of you. It is just like a game where you run around and kill aliens, pretty much.
Got it. That's right. You better be a good little piggy and chug down the corporate slop all the homosexual leftists are pushing on you.
Disavow.
Guys, let's be honest. They're
that.
pissed that people like you and me are beginning to figure out the truth, and they're rising up. They hate that channels like mine are suddenly becoming popular because those of us who know the truth are spreading it, and it's growing. Dude, look at Dragon Age and Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, these companies are waking up, and they're starting to realize that we're not cool with the gay communist slop anymore. And they're screwed because Ubisoft just lost a bunch of money. EA just lost a bunch of money. Sony just...
It is still insane. It is still mind-blowing that they thought the proper path towards making a cool Assassin's Creed Japanese samurai game was to be a black guy in feudal Japan running around killing Japanese people. And it's like, this is compounded on the fact that just like a year ago, there was the whole Stop Asian Hate thing. Do you remember? This was a social media trend. You had a bunch of Asian people on social media talking about anti-Asian hate crimes, hashtag Stop Asian Hate. And it's like, okay, so yeah, okay, that's cool. We're going to make a game where you're a black samurai running around killing Japanese people now. Yeah, like for 100 different reasons, this is not going to be received very well. Yeah, obviously, for historical accuracy reasons, for a lot of reasons. No one wants to play this.
just lost $400 million. Guys, it's getting so bad that they can't afford to not listen to us anymore. And games like Space... Look...
This, I disagree. They can't afford to keep on making slop trash games like this. I disagree. I think that the people that are pumping money into making games like this, I think they are totally comfortable. They are totally happy spending money. They are spending money to change society, to change the narrative, to change the optics of society. I think it's an investment. Like, the goal is not necessarily to make a video game that makes a ton of money. The goal is to make a video game that changes society, that changes the way people think. That is the goal. And to do that, okay, we're going to spend money.
They're looking at games like Space Marine 2. They're seeing the rabid fans that Space Marine 2 has. They're seeing how many copies Space Marine 2 sold. And they're like, maybe we shouldn't put gay globalist BlackRock trash in all of our games.
And, like, by the way, I actually have immediate proof of the concept I'm just talking about. They are trying to change a narrative, push an agenda, rather than make money with making these games. The reason why? For the last 12 or 18 months, the conversation around Assassin's Creed Shadows has been whether or not the most legendary samurai in Japan was a black guy. Why are we even having this conversation? That's how you know that they are already successful. They are successful already because we've been talking for 18 months, a year and a half, about whether or not, well, we need to get a historian on the phone to determine the historical... Like, no, we don't. What are you talking about? Why is this even a conversation? This is absurd. This is ridiculous. So they were already successful. The narrative has already been successfully asserted, right?
Maybe we shouldn't put gay globalist BlackRock trash in all of our games. So anyway, guys, I'm not going to go off on my conspiracy theory tangent, but really appreciate y'all.
I already did.
Subscribe to the channel. See y'all later. Bye.
Wow, this video was incredibly regressive, and I disavow every single thing that was said in this video. I cannot believe he said that. Anyway, there will be a link. I think I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel. There will be a link in the description. Go drop a like on that.